All right, we are live on video. Stand by for audio. All right, good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another new Live the Fuel podcast show. So today, and as I'm recording this evening, I'm catching up with a gentleman that I recently had the honor of recording with for his show. And I love the title and the theme behind his brand because the brand he created was the Rich Laptop Lifestyle. So the gentleman I'm bringing on for you today, he is a serial entrepreneur and world traveler to the point where I was not paying attention to his Instagram feed. He's got some beautiful warm photos from Mexico, but he airs from Israel. Welcome to the show, sir, Yuli Azarch.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So welcome to the Fuel, man. And I'm excited to have you on as a co-host. And obviously, you get around a little bit.
I get around a lot. Yeah, I get around a lot. I travel a lot.
And you're only an hour behind us right now. So I'm on the East Coast. You're an hour behind us. Where in Mexico are you right now?
I'm in Puerto Vallarta right now in Mexico.
All right. I'm going to go right to it. Puerto Vallarta, a beautiful area. Actually, on your Instagram feed, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow him at Instagram at YULIA, A Z as in zebra, ARCH. That's his name. So, but he's got a photo on there from CrossFit Vallarta. So I figured that's where you were, and you're just confirming that for us. But now, is it true, just because I can't wait to dive in on this, is it true that it's not as safe as it used to be? Because I know it's a tourist city or a tourist area, and I've been getting all kinds of weird feedback. You know, Mexico's changing and morphing. What do you think?
I feel very safe here, like specifically the spot where I am. It's like a very hot vacation spot, specifically for Americans and Canadians, and they would not be going to a place which is not safe. So this place specifically is very, very safe.
All right. Well, perfect. So good. They're still doing well then, because I knew Cancun's always been pretty good. I was there twice many years ago, and then I've been to, I think it's north. You're on the Pacific side, correct?
That's the Pacific side, correct. Now, I find in most places I travel, it's pretty safe. Like the only place I haven't felt safe here in Mexico, if you're talking, I was on a border town with states.
That makes sense. Okay,
and
everybody knows that.
I honestly didn't feel safe. So don't go to border towns. Anything else should be perfectly safe.
I've driven through the border towns because when I used to live in Arizona, we decided to go down there after my one of my old firefighting seasons. I was like, hey, man, and the weird part was I just bought a new vehicle too. So I had a brand new Jeep, and I thought it'd be intelligent enough to drive this through a border connection and then go down to Puerto Peñasco, which is translated as Rocky Point. So I believe that's north of where you're at right now.
I have no idea, but again, my experience with border towns were pretty negative, but really anything else, super safe right now.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact because when we came back through there to get back into the States, there was more automatic weapons on the Mexican side than there was the U.S. side as far as security. So, and they did more vehicle inspection coming into Mexico than coming out of Mexico. And I thought that was interesting.
I had the same experience. When I came from Tijuana to San Diego, nothing. They didn't check anything for any person. But when I went from from San Diego to Tijuana, like they checked me much more. So literally anyone passed with anything if they wanted. Exactly the same experience.
Yeah. I mean, because they pull everybody over as soon as you pulled into Mexico. And then I'm just sitting there hanging out, and she's like opening the back of my Jeep, pulling the luggage out. And this woman's, you know, she's all geared out in their bulletproof vests and fully automatic weapons. And I'm looking back over through the border security, and the Americans are just standing there, just kind of hanging out, talking. And I'm like, all right, is this a competition? Like who could be more hardcore on the border? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do hope they do a good job there.
They do. So what brought you down to Mexico? Because I didn't even realize you were down there last time you and I recorded about a week or so ago. So how long you been there? How long you going to be there longer? Is it just, are you doing this whole bounce around the world thing? What's up? Catch our listeners up.
Well, I've been doing for the last 4 years the whole nomadic lifestyle. So I've been traveling all around the world. I've been on average in 10 cities a year for the last 4 years straight. And right now, as we're recording, I am here already 3 months in Mexico, and I'm probably going to be here for 2 more months. And then I'm flying to Europe. So it's sort of like my base, home, whatever you want to call it, for the next few months. I'm going to settle down from here, pretty close to the States. I'm living by the beach here, really amazing weather. great food. So yeah, I've been living this kind of laptop lifestyle, if you want to call it, for a period of 4 years. Yeah, all around the world. And that's why I'm here right now in Mexico as we're recording. And I do have a few more months here to enjoy.
Well, and I'm going to show this real quick. I'm going to do some screen sharing for our video watchers on YouTube when we air this. So here's a chunk of his Instagram feed. And for our listeners, again, you want to go check it out because he's got some beautiful shots. Looks like you guys are you getting a little Zen time in this one photo? Or this is actually a video, I think, too. But
it's a quick video.
Yeah, you hung out and did a little meditation, I see.
Yeah, it's a hike I've done just a few days ago here around town.
And are these all areas really close to Puerto Vallarta, or is it further away?
Yeah, no, that's like 1 hour away from Puerto Vallarta, so it's pretty close and accessible.
I like this shot right here. That looks pretty chill.
Pretty chill, yeah. It's this one is in Sayulita. That's a surfing town, 40 minutes from where I am.
All right, so you're in a surfing town. Have you taken lessons?
I did, yeah. I've taken a few lessons. I'm a horrible surfer. I'll be very transparent.
I had to ask.
But yeah, I'll be taking a few more lessons to work on my surfing.
If you're there, you got to go for it. That's how I look at it. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
If they're known for a surfing town, rock out.
It is, yeah. It's challenging physically, and I love it.
Well, so I guess that's actually a great way to transition this, right? I mean, you're getting outside of your comfort zone and trying out surfing because you're in that section of the culture. That's something they do right there. It's got some decent surf, I'm guessing. And you're not doing well at it, but hey, you're going to keep going, right? You're going to keep trying it. And is that kind of how it was when you got into this whole, hey, I'm going to bounce around the world a little bit with this mobile, lifestyle?
Well, yeah, when I started my mobile lifestyle, I just really wanted to travel the world. I just had this dream. I just had this deep wish inside. And yeah, in the beginning, I sucked at it. Like, it wasn't that easy as well. I had lots of quote unquote failures. And I do remember actually first time when I have this lifestyle, after I finished the Israeli army, I remember I flew for 3 months to Thailand, Australia, and China.
Wow.
And basically, I did have a business already at the time, and I tried to work 4 hours a week at the time, very methodically, right after I read Tim Ferriss' book, The 4-Hour Workweek. And this was my first attempt for this. And basically, this attempt failed miserably because I remember after those 3 months, I actually lost money. I didn't make any money during those 3 months. So I guess this was the first lesson on how to do it. And since then, I had a few other attempts, which maybe I can call them quote unquote failure. And yeah, from 4 years ago, this was quote unquote success, trying to live the remote lifestyle. I definitely had lots of different lessons, things I had to adjust. And of course, everything I'm doing now, and I know now, I didn't know 4 years ago. So I really had to change a lot of things I'm doing from a lifestyle perspective, understanding how to transition to new places, understanding how to make sure I continue working on my business as well and not really get left behind on that front, which is really important to me, and really how to balance everything out. So I definitely had to learn all of this with maybe being a bit better at it in the beginning and definitely getting better and better and better at it. And one of the things, like if I even had to answer right now where I'm actually here in Mexico, the longest I've been in any place for 4 years. So one of the things I was doing is actually traveling too much even. So I was switching places.
Well, let's pause on that real quick. What does that mean, right? What does that mean to travel too much? Because there's people out hearing this right now, and they're probably like, yeah, I like this. I want that. I want to travel around the world. So is there a balance here?
There's certainly a balance. It's very different when you go on a vacation for 2 weeks or when you decide to live a certain way for many years. Like, it's a very different thing. Some people still think I'm on vacation, but it's very different when it becomes your life. So if you go for vacation and every 2 days you change a country, a city, that's all cool. You'll become refreshed, you'll love it. But when you're traveling and this is your life, after a while, when you're changing a place every 1 week, or even every 2 weeks, or even after every 1 month, it can become tiring. You start spending time on things which drain you. When you go to any place, you need to find maybe an apartment, spend time on this, finding a good source of food. One of the first thing I do in any place, I search for local and organic food, which sometimes is not as easy to find in every spot. So all of this takes energy.
Mm-hmm. Do they have organic food, that labeling, that branding in Mexico yet?
Yeah. So where I am right now, I definitely have access to a small organic farm, and I get all of my food 100% organic. I have grass-fed meat here. So specifically where I am right now, I do have access. So there's definitely a balance. Like if someone wants to do it long term, you notice right away. And I've been speaking to lots of people, and I notice it myself that you do need a balance. See, sometimes you can travel a bit more, which may be every 2 weeks, every 1 month. But after a while, you do need a balance. Especially as for me, it's really important to work on my business and put other things as a priority. So putting some months or period in some place really helps to bring this balance into place. So yeah, there's definitely a balance if you do want to do it long term.
Well, I like the fact that you're clarifying this because people need to hear this, even if they're not, living that mobile, international bouncing around lifestyle. This comes back to even your regular life in your home, is that you do need to take these periods of like full commitment. You're going through, I call them power cycles. Everybody's got different ways of calling them, but like you got to cycle in, you got to cycle out. You got to remember the balance along the way. You can't forget about the healthy food, right? The healthy lifestyle is huge. I mean, we talked about this on your show. It's just, if you're not fueling the body right and you're not taking care of it, you cannot expect peak performance, whether it be business or fitness related.
I agree completely. No, there is definitely a balance. I have another word. I don't remember how I used it exactly, but I do say there's a balance. Sometimes you work more. So there may be a period where for 2 weeks, maybe you don't work 40 hours a week. Maybe you work even 60 hours a week. Maybe you work 80 hours a week. Like you put in really lots of work, like a marathon, maybe if you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But afterwards, maybe for 1 or 2 weeks, you take it really easy, really chill. Maybe you don't work at all. Same thing in training. Maybe you work really and train really hard. But then you need to give your body a rest as well. So I think there's definitely a balance. Like I don't really believe in this, like every week you have to work exactly 40 hours and then exactly for 2 days you can need to go and rest. So this is too robotic. I don't know if you can call it. So I definitely notice that I always have these periods where maybe I work more, maybe I work less. Same thing about my fitness, same thing about my health.
Now, I like the fact that we're talking about this, and it's actually perfect timing because you talked about how you may put in those 60-hour weeks or heck, even crazier, right? 80-hour weeks. There's people who literally do this in their career. But if you do this continuously over and over again, you will burn out. There is no if, it's a guarantee because you're putting too much stress on the body, the brain, et cetera. You have to cycle. You have to rotate, to your point earlier, the keyword balance. I'm glad we're talking about this right now because literally last night, I tried something new for the podcast. I actually I had to buy an enhancement for the Zoom system, but we went full blown live. So Facebook Live while recording the podcast and then my co-host shared it to his channels, and he's a scientist, and we were discussing my 23andMe DNA results. And he spent the past week in his free time going over it all and writing up a really nice, really kind of like a summed up report, but of the specific DNA components that relate to my health and fitness. So I was like, hey man, I want to share this to the world. Let's get it out there. So we did a full blown live. It's all over Facebook right now. And then in a week or two, when we air the podcast, I'll take that content and then redistribute it across the blog, the website, YouTube, etc. But that aside, the point of it was one of the key things we talked about was accumulated stress and how everybody's DNA does respond differently. I am apparently naturally an endurance athlete. Like my DNA likes endurance activities. And I've kind of always known that because I'm 40 now. And I think I'm listening enough to realize what I'm good and not good at. But it's interesting how I didn't even know you can really get down to the DNA level and the genetics and confirm if you're naturally more of a strength versus an endurance person. But he clarified that I can also risk a lot of stress and cortisol impact. And one of the things he wanted to clarify was excessive stress and the lack of rest and recovery increases negative cortisol responses, which literally can shrink your brain because it's a fight or flight mode and life-saving type of situation. And the reason why I'm kind of running on with this, because I can't wait to have you respond here, is because you mentioned that you were in the Israeli army, because that's part of your culture. And I spent some time as one of the elite wildland firefighters back here. And those 2 years were very extreme and accumulated exhaustion. And I'm just intrigued to see how you connect this all together on your side.
Well, first of all, I've done the 23andMe test. It's a really cool genetic test. And I really recommend others to do it as well. But I definitely agree about the balance. So the army, which you bring up, can be really tiring. So just to clarify, in Israel, every man has to go to the army for a period of 3 years. And I've done a full 3 years. And during this period, it was very, very tiring. While I was not going to combat, my base was 2.5 hours from my house. So I was commuting sometimes 5 or 6 hours a day to the base.
Wow.
Working there, sometimes 8 to 12 or 16 hours. And going back, sometimes I literally worked 16 hours straight and slept there in the base as well. So, and
that's a
army,
commute and a half.
Oh yeah, that's why I think I'm scarred for life and maybe wanting to travel the world. And
I was gonna say, you better be traveling, bro. I mean, a 5+ hour commute. What?
Yeah, I think that's why I hate commute with such passion, which I'm working remotely as I am. And so I had a tough period in general. Some of those things, like the army is a tough place to fight with the system. And in Israel, every person usually after the army actually goes and travels around the world. So it's pretty known in the country. It's ingrained in our culture. But usually you go and travel. So you'll see lots of Israelis, but they'll usually just do a vacation. 3 to 6 to 12 months, depending on the budget and the person, they'll go and travel.
It's a holiday, right? Because I think the Europeans refer to it, they call it the holiday season, and you guys do multi-month holidays.
It is a holiday. So it's a holiday travel, and then before someone goes to university. But that's kind of the balance, just to bring what you mentioned, that after these maybe 3 years, people need something else. So it's very intense as well. So I think it's very healthy just to travel around the world, see nature, change your environment, and partially being in the army, being in Israel as well, I got into it as well. So besides my passion and wish to travel, I've also done 3 months. So my failure attempt to really travel the world and earn money online was exactly after my army, the 3-month trip, which I mentioned.
Yeah.
And that was partially what I've tried to do from a balancing perspective concerning to the army.
So let's pause on that, because you at the beginning of this episode, you did use the word failure multiple times. And man, I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. Let's be real. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, we have to agree, no matter what country we're from, that through the repetitive failures, really we can rebrand or retitle that as life lessons, right? Can we agree on that real quick?
Absolutely.
100%. Okay. So to be fair, those mistakes or life lessons or failures were required. You had to go through that to learn how to improve upon that and get better at it, because like where you are today is not where you were then, right?
Absolutely.
So
location.
With that said, why did you fail that 3-month thing? You didn't really mention that yet.
Well, first of all,
what did you learn from that 3-month period?
Well, I know I'm using the word failure, but to be honest, I don't really believe in failure myself. So I just want to clarify that I have a strong belief that you can fail only if you didn't learn something or you didn't give your best. So if you learned something or gave your best, that's not really a failure. And that's something I really, really strongly believe. So I know I'm using the word failure because that may be the common word to use, but I don't really look at it as I failed. That's a lesson for me. That's really how I perceive it. I'm really even reading it in front of me. I have a poster with some values, which says what I have to feel and happen in order to feel failure. So okay. I don't really feel it, but specifically for that point, for those 3 months, if you want to touch on a lesson, which I had for those, my first attempt to travel the world, I was very fanatical about working exactly 4 hours a week. Right now, it sounds silly to me as I'm even saying. You were
obsessed with Tim Ferriss, were you not?
Apparently, I was.
Hey, you had to follow a program. You had to see if the program could work, right?
Yeah. So for some reason, after reading it and following Tim Ferriss for years, it's not about working 4-hour work week. It's about taking control of your life and your time, owning your time. It's definitely not about 4 hours a week. But at the time, I didn't really understand it. So one of the things which were wrong for me, or maybe failure or lesson, is I was working just 4 hours a week. While it's okay sometimes to work 4 hours a week, and I definitely had and still have weeks where maybe I'll work 1 hour a week, 4, 6, and I had those weeks. Right now, I work much more. So in order to build a very serious business, in order to build a good base, in order to grow a business, working hard and putting in the time, you can't avoid it. It's just one part of the formula. You definitely need to put in the time. And of course, I'm working much more than 4 hours a week, and I've worked much more than 4 hours a week. And again, I have weeks where I'll work much more, but then I'll have weeks where I'll travel, I'll have fun, and I'll balance it out with a really great lifestyle as well. So this was one of the lessons which I can think of specifically from those 3 months where I had my business and it failed. Another lesson, I guess, that the business didn't really have any legs. Relatively, it was a new business, so it didn't really have lots of history of making money as much as it should. So each business has its stage, the way I see it. And those businesses which I had at the time were pretty early. They didn't have a good base where they generate enough income every month. So maybe I had also too much of an expectation at that time from those businesses to actually also take money out of the business as opposed to reinvesting it. So I think those are two lessons which I can think of specifically from this one quote unquote failure.
So I like the fact you just, towards the end here, you mentioned something about reinvesting time and money. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I took away from hearing this just now from you was you said, listen, yeah, it's if you want to really hard code the 4-hour work week, go for it. But in the end, you have to earn that, right? Like, did you put in enough reps and enough work and enough baseline to build that consistency so you can sustain it on just 4 hours a week? I mean, if you're one of these rarities, you can launch a company just by doing only 4 hours a week, more power to you. But you know how rare that is? And clearly you just confirmed it. You thought you could do it. It's like, maybe not.
I actually don't know anyone that has done it. Like, I know people who got to a stage where maybe for a month, for 2 months or 3 months, they can do it. But it came before maybe with 1, 2, or 3 or 4 years. Who knows how long, depending on the person, on the business, of lots and lots of hard work.
I love this because so many people out there, they do that teaser campaign stuff. You know where I'm going with this. The online marketing and all the sales funnels and the social media. And again, this is what I do, right? But I'm like, I'm a truth guy. If that means I don't make your $1 million sales funnel crap or 6-figure sales funnel, at least I'm speaking the truth. Don't be promising people that, oh, if you follow this program, blah, 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 in 4 hours a week, you're going to have a sustainable online company. It's BS. You have to put in the reps. You have to put in the work. Everything in life, what is one of those old quotes? Anything worth having, requires I'll just go ahead and say a shitload of work. I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? How would you translate that?
I would translate that, first of all, I agree that you have to put down shits of load. And, anything in life has a price you need to pay. I really believe it, like anything you want. And if you want a business, maybe which will bring lots of money, if you want to grow a business, if you want to have a lifestyle business, really anything, maybe it's for a certain period of time, you need to pay the price of working a lot. Maybe not doing anything else. And actually, I remember even before I started traveling 4 years ago, I basically closed myself in a room for 6 months before I had done it and worked, I think, for this period, 16-hour days.
Okay.
I didn't go out. I didn't socialize much. I was single. I didn't focus on this. I focused at that period on my business. And this was, quote unquote, a price I paid. Other things in life, they were not that important to me at the time.
Okay.
And this allowed me to build a really, really good base from which I took it from there. So definitely, you need to have those periods where you work. You need to put in the reps, as you're saying. Whether you want to build up your health, whether you want to build up your business, really anything, you need to learn, you need to study, you need to put in the reps. And after you put in more and more reps, it becomes easier. So right now, my businesses have been running, some of them for years. And if I want, I can go right now for 1, 2, 3 months and maybe work 4 hours a week. If I want, I can definitely do it. I put in the reps of many, many years.
You built the foundation.
I built a good foundation. I have a team behind me. I have a partner. We have protocols. Things have been running for a while. So again, depending which stage the business is. So I can definitely go right now and theoretically do it. But the funny thing is, right now where I am, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go work 4 hours a week. I'll probably be miserable, to be honest, if I'll...
You could only have... I have to admit this. I'm an adrenaline junkie if you're not following me that much online. I do a lot of crazy shit. As literally friends of mine told me this week after the last adventure from last weekend, that big crazy ski thing I did in the mountains. And I was like, life is short. That's why I do it, right? That's part of me. That's part of the brand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I can't do that every single day. I don't think I want to. Like, I want to look forward to going on that excursion, right? To go on that trip And I think it's cool to have that vision of like, oh man, I'm just going to live a life of travel and adventure. But to your point, it does get a little old. You need to cycle in purpose, right? Work. Like you got to balance.
Oh, it's a huge thing, the purpose and the work, especially when someone goes and does it long term, your priorities change. So maybe when I started, yes, travel was important. For a few months when I traveled the shit out of myself, going to different
you were stuck in the military for 3 years.
Yeah, I need to get out of the body. So this was my priority. And at the time, maybe I didn't work as much as even I'm working right now as we're recording this during this whole period. But yeah, with time, when you're doing it long term, priorities may change. So work became a much more important thing to me. And I'm spending a lot of time on work. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have a great lifestyle. I am living by the beach. So every day.
I'm going to screen share again because like this is actually on his website, ladies and gentlemen, richlaptoplifestyle.com. You scroll down and again, some more amazing mountain shots. I need to go to those ruins. That's in South America. I haven't been there yet.
You have to go over.
Yeah, that's the 18,000 foot hike, right?
That's one of the 7 world wonders.
Yeah, it's
in Peru.
Yeah, the Peruvian ruins. And they have it. That's the place where they have the train too. But I'm like, why would you ride the train? Hike it.
That's true. You can do the highway hike or
So again, here you go. Your lifestyle photos are here, but that didn't happen overnight. I mean, you can go on a quick weekend or week getaway, but you can't sustain that immediately.
No, definitely you can't sustain it. And I noticed for myself, and I think that's true for many other people, because I know other people who are having similar lifestyle, the purpose and the work becomes very, very important. And I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. For me, building companies and kind of trying to improve and make the world a better place is a really crucial piece. And I noticed but sometimes I remember clearly I went last year for New Year's. I was in Hawaii for a 7 days event. And this was a period where I didn't touch my computer even one time. Just an example. Okay, so for 7 days, literally 0-hour work week. But quite frankly, after those 7 days, I can't do it anymore. I would be miserable if I'd have to go another 7 or 14 days of just going to the beach or just going and
it gets
I want
old.
to work.
Yeah.
Yes, after you do it for a while, there is just so much beaches, there's so much mountains, and the purpose and the work you want to bring in the world becomes just much more important. And that's a very important piece to have and to include. And for me, it's a big piece of my day. Like if I didn't have my work, I'll probably be miserable. So it brings me lots of purpose and happiness and joy into my days.
So I love the fact we're touching on work now, right? Because I'm okay. Everybody's now heard this. We've been doing this for over half an hour now. Okay, great. Yuli gets to travel. Yes, he put in the reps. He built the foundation. His brand, Rich Laptop Lifestyle. Clearly, the guy travels with a laptop and he can work anywhere with a computer. Which, let's be real, that is true, right? You can live anywhere and work anywhere with technology these days. Whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, that's something important to clarify.
That's true.
But when people go to your site, and I'm going to share again here, and they go to like destinations, okay? And right here, I love it. Travel the world, earn money online, live anywhere, forget 9 to 5, right? We see this a lot online. Earn money from anywhere. Again, great location freedom. And you've definitely been around the world. You've hit a bunch of countries. So people are hearing this right now. And like, wait a minute, where's the truth, right? Okay, is there an example of what was like one of your earlier businesses? I don't know if it could be one of your still sustainable business you have today, right? Because you put time in and you built it. And maybe this goes way back to that 3-month failure when you first started getting things going. But like, can you give us an example of what you started then? And is that still going or is that morphed into something else?
Absolutely. So first of all, you definitely need to put in the work, which maybe we're repeating it again and again and beating it to death.
They need to hear it.
But yeah, like when you hear those stories, I really hate fake promises when you see online where, as you said, make a ton shit of money in 4 hours without working or putting a finger or I don't like the fake promises. I mean, yes, you can build a great business. It will take time. And after you build it, you can go and travel. And as you said, you don't even have to build a business, if you want to travel. There are many people who are doing it. So those are definitely options. And putting in the work is important. Okay. So instead of this, I like real promises of build a real business, take time, and then you can travel the world if someone wants to do it in terms of promise. In terms of one example, of the business. So just to put things in perspective, I've started my first business 7.5 years ago when I was 20 years old and still in the army. And the first business was an eBay dropshipping business. This was my first business which I've ever
I've read numerous
started.
people have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have done it for around a period of 5 years, actually. And this business had lots of ups and downs, but that's not what I'm doing right now. This morphed into much more meaningful businesses, into much bigger businesses. But this was something I started. That's where I started. My first business experience was 7.5 years ago. So I've been doing it for 7.5 years of lots of failures, sometimes losing money, getting big in the head. And then you get those small successes. And I believe you can only build on success as opposed to build on failure. So when you get the small win, when you get a small success, that's where you're building it. And you start going from there for the next step and the next step. And you just move on, I guess, one day at a time. And I'll be glad to go into more details in any of those places where you want. But that's one example of a business start. That's what I've been going. This business was earning money for a while, but this transition into just different.
Well, how does a eBay drop shipping business morph? I mean, or was that kind of like all the lessons you learned from that? Is that what you're referring to by morphing, right? Like, hey, we spent 7 years building this, ups, downs, learned how to do it right, not do it right. I could probably teach somebody else to do it. Maybe it's not as popular as it was. So now I could take all this knowledge and start this instead. Or was it actually a natural transition where it's like, oh, this actually feeds perfectly into this business model relating to eBay? I don't know. Like, can you give me an example of that?
Absolutely. I do have a great example. So I've been running the eBay dropshipping business for a while. And after a while, this business became profitable. It generated cash and money every month. So instead of taking the money to myself as profit, thinking that the money is mine, but the money is not mine. It's the business money. It's not my money. And instead of just taking as higher salary as possible, I reinvested it. So the morphing in this example was an Amazon business, which is another business I have. A private, that's the morph. So I actually used the funds from the eBay dropshipping business to actually launch a private label Amazon business. This was 2.5 years ago. And Amazon is a very popular business model. And I'm actually in the process of selling right now my Amazon business as well. And that's a great transition from starting an eBay dropshipping business to right now almost hitting a potential 7-figure sale from Amazon business. And I use the funds from that business to fund it. And without it, I probably couldn't have done it. Like, I didn't take any money, but I always had funds and I always had the backup of his business. And this funded the business and allowed me to reinvest more and more. And it started a bit more meaningful and bigger business. So that's a great example, I think, of how I morphed that one into another one.
Well, and one thing I like about this is that you did share, obviously, some honesty on the transparency. I love the fact that you connected, from the 90s into the early 2000s and mid 2000s, and eBay's still around, right? It's still popular. But then Amazon starts getting creative, right? And it starts growing, and look how big it is now.
eBay is just going down. I would
so it's like, okay, you either ride that ship down or you start trying to figure out that next beast. So the most important thing at that lesson, though, you mentioned was, yes, it is important as an entrepreneur to pay yourself so you feel good about your business, but that does not mean you pay yourself like a jackass and you go buy a 6-figure automobile and you're pulling and you go start bragging to everybody that you pay yourself 6-7 figures, for example, when that's all your business makes. And
that's a big mistake if someone is probably doing it.
And the oldest lesson I learned in business was, and maybe this, I mean, and you're international, so maybe you could speak to this, is they tell you the average entrepreneurial journey, and even if this is brick and mortar or not, they tell you you need to really commit the first 5 years to reinvest as much as possible back into the business. Really lean out your life, pay yourself if you can, not a salary, but if everybody's got bills to pay yourself enough to get by. That's what I'm hearing from you. It sounds like you're in that same transition, and that's what you also went through.
I went through it. So right now I'm definitely paying myself much more than I paid in the past, but the business is making much more. So I'm not, of course, taking all the profits. I don't know if there are certain rules. I didn't really go into business school. So that's an example of the business I built for a period of 2.5 years. So I don't know if there's a specific law or rule, but one thing is for sure, the longer you can hold yourself from paying yourself, the more you can actually hold off actually taking the money, the more you can live as frugal as possible, I would say, even just to get by, as you're saying, and just reinvesting every single dollar back into the business, the quicker you can grow it. So I definitely agree with this. I don't know if there's a certain formula for how many months you should do it, how many years, but in general, the longer you can do it, the more money you can reinvest and the less money you need for your month to month, definitely you'll be able to grow your business faster.
Well, and that's also the other piece of this lifestyle, right? Like my fiance, for example, she's pretty much debt free. She's got a little bit of school debt. That's it. Right. And obviously our house, because that just seems to be the American way, but we don't set the best examples on everything, but at least I'm willing to admit that now. Right. I tried, there's an old term that we use. It's really outdated and it's kind of stupid, but they said the old keeping up with the Joneses thing was a common slogan in this country, where it's like, oh man, the person down the street or the person next door, look at everything they got. I need to keep up with them. I got to compete against them. Meanwhile, you really don't know what's going on in their world or in their life. You don't know. So trying to emulate or mirror what they're doing might not be a good idea, because you might not know that they're literally living off of credit cards and maxing out lines of credit, and that they're not living a cash-free lifestyle. So that goes back to this lifestyle freedom that I'm hearing from you too, is that one of the advantages of being able to travel is if you have no bills or debt to pay, you need less money to sustain you.
Absolutely.
Correct?
That is 100% correct. So actually, when I just started traveling for a long period of time, I was traveling in third world countries, if you want to call them, Central and South America. I was in Asia, and the monthly expenses, luckily, in those countries is very, very low. You can live there for $1,000 or $1,500 a month, and you live in an amazing way. And this partially helped me, I believe, to spend more money on my business, because my month-to-month expense was low. And if I would be maybe living all the time in the States or Israel, my monthly expense would probably be much, much higher. So definitely being able to be frugal and maybe not pay yourself is the right way to go in terms of financially. And in the beginning, I also had debt, actually. And there was a period when I had that, and this was a very, what's the right word to put it? Maybe stupid, maybe is the right word to put it.
How about, we'll make it nice. How about it was very eye-opening, right? You're like, oh, wow, I might need to make a change.
Yeah. So this was not the right way to deal financially. And I had to climb sort of a mountain to pay my debt, first of all, which was a mistake. And after I paid my debts, I live a debt-free lifestyle where I don't owe money, and I can start growing my wealth as opposed to paying a debt and investing the profits, investing in general, regrowing the business.
Okay.
So yeah, as those things are really, really important. The more you can do it, the better.
Okay. So on your website, I've been doing a lot of screen sharing during this episode because I want our listeners to be able to get all right around a site. Again, go check out Rich Laptop Lifestyle. I'm loving the truth, man. I mean, people need to understand. And I like the fact when I go into start here section, like looking to have a kick-ass lifestyle, but then you get into, you're sharing best practices, tips, things you've learned over the years. I like this little section here, looking to actually get shit done and be more productive. Love that as well. Because a lot of people say, oh man, look at everything that I'm doing today, man. I'm so busy. So I'm successful. And it's like, okay, if you're just making a list of things to do to keep yourself busy, is it actually productive? And are you actually getting, as you've put it here so well, getting shit done, right? So, and that's part of your equation here, is that these are all things you have to learn along the way. What actually is productive and what isn't? What is making you money and what isn't?
Absolutely. So one of the things which actually helped me, and if someone is traveling and wants to do it long term, they have to learn how to be more productive. I don't think there is any other way. So in my case, I was sort of forced into it. I had to become productive. Otherwise, it would be really tough to do what I want to do. So when I was traveling more, and I sometimes had just 1 hour a day to work, maybe 4 hours a day, or I had specific blocks of time to work, I had to get it done during this time. I really didn't have any other option. And one more thing which forced me into being productive is I started having back pain actually when I just started my online businesses. So
what? Well, you're hanging over the computer too much?
Yep. That's why I'm standing right now, by the way, as we're recording.
I'm standing, you're standing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but the fact that I had the back pain, and by the way, to this day, it limits me in terms of the amount of hours I have to spend in front of the computer. So even though I'm standing, if I'll stand too much, I'll feel it on my body. So the fact that I'm forced to have a very limited time in front of the computer, I think is one of the key things for me for becoming more productive. Because if you give yourself 3 hours to do something, there's a very good chance you'll do it in 3 hours. But if you give yourself the same task in 1 hour, you'll probably do it in 1 hour. So definitely I was forced in becoming productive. And when I had a limited time, I had to learn tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it, and just ways to structure my day to be more productive, which accordingly allowed me to grow my business and allowed me to focus in, as you said, on the right things, which will actually make a difference, and not just spend my time on nothing, being busy, working every week, 50, 40, 60, whatever it is, just to be busy, as opposed to working on the right things that are meaningful. It will make a difference in my life and my business.
I'm loving that we're clarifying all this stuff, man, because it's like I've been there where you're at too. Maybe not the back pain, but you just start making a list of stuff to do, and you don't actually quantify or qualify what that list is, but you justify it because, like, oh, dude, I'm busy. I got meetings. I got stuff to do. Like, I've recently had a guy reach out to me this week. I don't even know how he found my email. He starts emailing me, and apparently he's local. But he's like, hey, I'm not looking to sell you anything, but I want to get together for a lunch, and I'm happy to buy you lunch or breakfast, and we can get together and talk business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, 1, I don't know you. 2, this is already a cold call, which turns me off. 3, I get together with people in my network. I believe in warm connections. I've been networking for years. So from a productivity standpoint, you need to be a warm handoff. So I've actually put this wall up, not to be a dick. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything and act like I'm some big important guy, but I've established a value to what my time is worth. It's taken me years to figure that out. And it sounds like you've done it too, right? But we need to value our time.
But those are one of the things which I have to get better at, and I'm definitely better than I was, which is learning how to say no. And especially as you become more successful, if that's the word online, like you have more people reaching out, want to have a quick call, just a Skype call. And as I said, my time is limited. If I choose to say yes to a Skype call, maybe with a friend or someone who wants my advice, I say no to growing my business. And that's something I'm not perfect at, but I'm getting better at. I'm saying no, different people. Just the last 1 month, I had a few friends reach out, which I haven't spoken for a while, and they want to jump on a call. And maybe before in the past, I would say yes, and would have a 1 hour Skype call, which is cool. But for me, after having this 1 hour Skype call, I just can't get to work. My mind is foggy.
It's a distraction.
That's how just I operate. I know myself. If I'll have it, I'll not be able to be as sharp and as clear for a call. And I had to say no. I had to say no to those friends. I was polite. I explained to them why. I said, I'm here to help, but right now I have a priority. I'm working on some things and I just can't jump on a call. I'm sorry.
So there's 2 sides of that one. I agree and disagree with it. I love it. So this is a good chat real quick here before we get to start closing the show out. I love the fact we're hitting on this because friendships are important. Family is even more important. Yeah. So time management and balance, we've already discussed this on the show. Very, very important. But there is a lot of power behind the yes and the no. And one of my coaches, and actually a lot of people are now talking about it online too. They're using it in their tips and tricks. So, if you think I'm copying from somebody, great, whatever. But I've learned this myself is everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else.
Absolutely. I agree.
It goes back to your prioritization.
Yeah.
So value your time. And I'm not saying stop talking to your friends, but maybe one of the hacks is like, dude, I'll tell you right now, like, because you've gone through my onboarding process to get on this show. You see that everybody has to go to my website now. I don't care if it's a potential client, coaching, podcaster. You want to talk to me, you book through my calendar. Why? Because I have segmented out certain time slots for certain purposes. So when you get into my calendar, it only unlocks certain periods on certain days that I'm willing to do a podcast versus a coaching call, right? So I'm still honing this process. I'm not some, MBA genius on this yet, but I'm already way more better at my time management since I put that time in and started using that system. So it's great. I tell people all the time, if you're going to invest in the tools, make sure you're using these tools to build a system. And in the end, you want to make sure you feel better about how your time is balanced and managed.
Yeah.
So that's a tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to clarify. I don't believe in business. I mean, I believe in priorities, as you said. Mm-hmm. If you're saying no, yes, something, that's your priority at the time. And it's about balance. Like, it's not about like, my friends are very important to me and my family is very important to me. But I'm not going to talk 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours every day with my family, because that's maybe, I don't want to say a priority, but I can't do
that.
No, I can do it as well.
I'm like, how about once every 2 weeks? That sounds great.
What I do, I actually once a week on a Saturday, I call my family and I speak to my parents from 15 minutes to 1 hour. And it's a dedicated day and a dedicated time. And I don't do it every day necessarily. With some friends as well, we may talk maybe once in 2 weeks or once in 1 month. We have a Skype call and we're chatting about it. So there is the balance. This is important to me. But at the same time, I do have priorities. I'm not going to be talking all day long to friends or my family. I know how to structure, maybe as I said, your calendar and my calendar. And that helps me to know where my priorities are and how much time to spend with anyone else when it comes to your friends and your family.
So on that, have you started like what I already kind of tipped at? Like, I don't have 100% of my day completely hard coded. A lot of people actually are now suggesting that you do schedule yourself. I like to have a little freedom. It's good to have structure, but not too, you have the freedom when you want the freedom, have the structure when you want the structure. I'm asking you this because like I was just screen sharing earlier from your Start Here page, and I actually scrolled down to the old, your top 5 habits to enhance your productivity, as you were talking about earlier. And like, I'll run through them real quick, but number 1 was plan your day. Number 2 was meditate every day, which is all over your Instagram. I love that. It's part of your life balance. 3, work out regularly. Hands down, yes, because that's healthy for your brain. 4, have a morning routine. And 5, delegate anything you can. So that being said, a number of these bullet points you've listed here do involve time management. So how scheduled are you?
I'm both scheduled and both not scheduled. So I'll clarify.
So balance.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm very closely connected to my calendar. Just to say, I really follow my calendar very closely. That includes for meetings. That includes if I need to do some personal things. If it's not on the calendar, it sort of doesn't exist. Only once it's there, it becomes real. So anything you want to do in life, for myself, I put on my calendar. So I do work very, very closely with my calendar for anything I want to put. If I just even need to do 2 hours for myself to block it, I may put it in the calendar. So I'll know those are going to be 2 hours. Maybe I'll just journal, or maybe I'll do some other things for myself. I will work with the calendar. But at the same time, I really like to have lots of free blocks. I hate meetings. But I need a meeting. So I will have meetings, of course. It's not perfect, especially when you're growing a company. And while you're not 100% one people company, you do need the meetings. You do need to communicate, especially when you're working remotely. But I do like to have lots of free blocks. So let's say I don't feel like working. I don't feel good. Maybe I can take 2 hours off to recharge and I can go back at it. Maybe right now I'll do more creative work. Maybe. So in general, I try to keep as much as open time on my calendar as possible. But at the same time, it doesn't happen necessarily every day, but I'm trying to combine lots of meetings in specific days. So I may have most of my meetings on a Monday. If I'm interviewing someone, which I'm regularly interviewing people to hire, I try to block 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive interviews if needed.
Nice.
As opposed to doing it every single day. And then maybe this day I'll have less quote unquote freedom in my calendar, but the rest of the days I'll have much more freedom. So maybe this day will be more blocked and the rest of the day will be much more free in my calendar. But I don't really put in my calendar my morning routine and such stuff. This is just...
It's already been hard. It sounds like it's already been kind of hard coded into your lifestyle. You call it a morning routine for a reason. Some people do literally put that in their calendar. I actually started doing that on Mondays and Fridays. I'm always home. I really try and only travel between Tuesday and Thursday. I want that nice 4-day weekend type of feel, right? So, but the one calendar that I keep for my one client, they take up a lot of my time. So I purposely put in there life balance, and basically between 10 and 12, they can't book anything because I'm at the gym. I was like, do not try and book anything in here. You're not going to get a hold of me. So I've locked that out in the calendar. So that's just one of the things I've done.
Yeah, I'm actually very hard to get a hold of, to be honest. And I don't check my phone, actually. So if someone tries and send me a message from WhatsApp, Facebook, people can reach to me. I am specifically working at specific times. And I'm, again, as I said, if it's not on my calendar, I'll probably not go and jump on a random call because I'm doing other things. So that's where the balance of being close to the calendar and also knowing how to balance the other piece comes to.
I've got a tip, though, for your calendar. And this is really your Instagram page's fault, because I'm going to screen share again. You need to book this on your calendar, because for our video watchers, I am sharing this ridiculous sunset shot with the waves crashing in from him, obviously, in it looks like it's Nuevo Vallarta. And I'm like, dude, sick shot, man.
I'll tell you what, I'm opening my calendar right now, and I'll tell you what I do put there. So I don't put a reminder to go to see the sunset, because that's something I'm doing every day. Actually, right now, as we're recording,
I was going to say, you probably have a sunset.
It's usually the time I'm going to see the sunset, but the things that I don't put on the calendar.
It's okay. We're finishing up, man. You can get the end of the sunset.
What I do put is every day for 5 minutes, I do a reminder of myself, 5 things I'm grateful for. So it jumps as a reminder.
Okay.
I put 2 p.m. I have a calendar breathe, a reminder myself to actually breathe. And when I see it, I just take deep, long breaths. In the morning, I have morning questions to ask, 9 a.m. Then I have empowering health questions. So I have those small reminders. That's what I do use my calendar. So for example, empowering health questions I ask myself is, how can I feel vibrant? How can I feel fucking awesome and respect my body in the process? A few morning questions I ask in 9 a.m. What am I grateful for in my life? What am I excited about in my life? What can I do today to grow my business? What new things do I want to learn today? What makes me more happy? So those are reminders which I'm putting in my calendar, but I don't put there like meditation or morning routine, other things. Those are hard-coded, if you want to call them.
Okay. I'm liking that, man. I love the bombs you're dropping. I'm writing stuff on my dry erase board. That's why I literally have to clear my board out every day now, because when I do podcasts in the evening, I'm like, man, I need a spot to just take notes, just things that stand out to me. So, and let me stop sharing, because the sunset's just gorgeous and it's going to annoy me now. Oh, man, I love a good sunset. So, well, listen, we are coming towards the end of the show. And I do want to respect your tail end of the day, and maybe you can get a little snippet of the sunset as we close the show out. So based on that motivation, inspiration, all of my podcast co-hosts we bring on, whether they're repeats or new guests like yourself, I really want to honor our guests, who volunteer to come on the show. And then obviously our listeners too, right? Because I want them to remember you and follow you. So I've already hinted, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow all of his social media feeds also just by going simply to richlaptoplifestyle.com. He's got everything linked on there. I highly recommend his Instagram just because he's got some beautiful shots in there as well. He's a fellow CrossFit fan. But if you had to sum up where you're at today and where you're moving forward, I mean, is there an all-encompassing message that kind of just comes to your mind very easily right now that you'd like to leave behind to anybody listening to this? Whether it be, I don't care how you want to say it. Maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's inspiration. What's standing out to you right now in your head that you'd like to leave behind for our listeners?
The quote which comes to my mind is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Classic.
So that's what came to my mind. I can throw in other stuff, but
well, it doesn't have to be a quote. I mean, but that's powerful. I love that quote. I use that one all the time.
That's something I believe in. As we talked about traveling, it's also your environment, like the people around you, the country, and so all those things really, really affect us a lot. So in order to have the lifestyle and really anything else you want, you need to be conscious of who you surround yourself with and where you surround yourself with. So maybe this can be encompassing one thing which can be related to anything else, if I can put it in one sentence.
Sure. I love it. Well, thank you, man. This has been powerful. So
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and hang real quick. I'm going to give you a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said it once, I said it twice. I think I said it at least 4 or 5 times. richlaptoplifestyle.com. Okay. Again, there's plenty of stuff on there. Even if you're not ready for this crazy excursion and lifestyle shift yet, he's got plenty of tips, tricks. He's a fellow podcaster. He has his recommended, he's got book links on here. He's got connections on the destinations he's been to. Listen, there's no excuse. You want resources? Go check out the site. But again, ladies and gentlemen, that's another powerful Live the Fuel podcast show. Again, Yuli, thank you for taking time out of your beautiful Mexican excursion over the past few months to give us a lot of powerful feedback, all right, and share that message to our listeners. Again, to everybody else out there, as I say on every show, remember this, you too can live the fuel. And for today, you too can live the rich laptop lifestyle. We'll talk to you guys again soon. And you're free of the podcast. Video, I just leave up for extra. So I hope you had some fun.
Yeah. How was it for you?
It was great as always. Man, I have fun doing this all the time. That's why I tell people all the time. Like my fiance's like, how come you don't like charge people to come on your podcast? It's like, because I have fun. So I feel weird charging for that. There are people starting to charge to get people on their podcast. You would be the only one.
I know. Someone is doing it.
Oh yeah, that's a new thing now. Everybody's writing about it. Like, because this is cross-functional marketing. You're helping people grow their brands. There's people now telling people, audience. Yeah. Right? They're telling people you should start charging people to have the privilege to grow their brand on their show. And I said, well, as a sales and marketing professional, I could totally try and do that, but then I would feel like a dick because I was like, you have to give more than you get. Yes. If you do this in life and in business, it will come back tenfold.
Yeah, it can come even backfold from just affiliate commissions or referrals.
Whatever
people are doing from podcasts if they're recommending something they believe in and they use it, for example. So such more honest recommendations brings in money to both people. So it's sort of a win after you give. Absolutely.
So, real quick side note.
Yeah.
Are you hardcore ingrained in Mexico? Do you need an excuse to get a trip out of Mexico?
I'm going to be in LA next month for an excuse for a trip.
Oh, when do you leave for that?
It's probably going to be around May. I didn't book the dates yet.
Okay. All right. Well, no, I'm just throwing this out there because remember how I was recording your show and I was telling you I got that big event coming up with Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk and that whole crew. I think I told you about that when I was on your show.
I don't remember, no.
Oh, anyway, May 3rd, it's a Thursday. It's from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. They got Les Brown, powerful motivational speaker. You got the inspiration coming from Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk. These guys don't normally share the same stage. And then 2 other speakers. But anyway, they're speaking in Philadelphia, and I have tickets to it. So,
how far is it from here?
I don't know. It's a major city. It's Philadelphia. We're East Coast. I mean, it's like 2 hours north of Washington, D.C. We're 1 hour ahead of you, apparently, because it's currently 9:15 my time. But I'm just throwing it out there because it's like, hey, you know what? The person that was supposed to join me is not joining me now, so I haven't posted it to the social media world yet saying, hey, guys, I've got a spare ticket to this huge event. You know, I haven't put it out there yet, but you're the first person I mentioned it to.
Oh, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. And send me the link. I'll check if I can make it. Right now, I can't.
Oh, yeah. No, if you let me, dude, like I said, it was spontaneous. I threw it out there. I like your energy. Yeah. I like your vibe. And obviously, it's not a big deal if you can't. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm like, by the end of this weekend, I need to post it up there because I want to help somebody else saying, hey, man, grow your business, grow your success, whatever. Because we are the podcast of 5 people we spend the most time with. But I'll send you the link to the actual website here because I don't even remember what it is right now. But I'll email it over to you.
Enjoy the seminar. There are not so many seminars with Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk in Mexico. So that's a tough one here. So use the events one, which you have pretty close to your house. That's a really good thing.
It's literally an hour from my house. So I was like, dude, I'm not missing out on this opportunity. So, and the event is at the Philadelphia the Philadelphia or Pennsylvania Convention Center in the city of Philadelphia. And they're a major international airport. That's why I was like, you could probably zip in and zip out and not even phase you. So
yeah, well, that's the benefit of the States. Like you have easy access to events. You can fly in very easily from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my challenges. It's not so easy when you're in Mexico, Costa Rica, or Guatemala to go and actually hang out with more higher end people. Yeah. So I have to stick to books and audiobooks, which is not ideal.
That's all right. Well, actually, and tell you what, I have to send you this link because they do have, the organization's called Success Resources, but this is actually their National Achievers Conference. Yeah, they're based out of California. They run other events. So there might be one in California when you're in California. I don't know.
Yeah, send it over. I could use to combine it with an event.
There you go, man. I'll share it over to you. All right, I'll email it over to you. Thanks for tuning in again. Is there anything else I can do for you this evening?
Nothing I can think of. If I can do anything for you, let me know as well.
Hey, man, we're now connected to the network. So, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on the show. I will email you when your show's going out. I'm literally within a 2-week window now. I've tightened things up, so things are happening within like a 2-week window. So you'll definitely be up shortly. Sounds
good. Looking forward to it, man.
All right, brother. And go enjoy it. If there's any sunset left, go enjoy it.
I think it's literally the last 3 minutes. Maybe I'll.
All right. Go get some. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Take care.
Take care.